this morning?
How he filled me with the Holy Ghost.
Serving in the United States military that are either members or family members. And then after that, there'll be a segment of those that are members that have served, and then the third part will be those family members that have served. Some of the pictures that we were given are very old. They were out of the newspaper. Some of them are very new, so there'll be a huge difference in quality. But we want to honor all of those that have served. And then after our offering, we will have a moment of silence to remember those who have died, that we might be free to worship here today. In Matthew's Gospel, it says, Caesar's, they replied. Then he said to them, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. Let us pray.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day that you've given us. Father, we thank you that we live in the greatest nation in history. We thank you, Father, for the freedoms that we enjoy. God, we just ask that you help us for today to remember those who gave the ultimate price so that we can be free. We can worship you and serve you. Yes. God, let's not take that for granted. Let us be about your business. Father, I ask that you accept this offering, God, that you bless it and you multiply it. That you help us, Father, to be aware of those around us that are in need. Father, we live in such abundance. I ask you, God, that you help us to be generous. Because Jesus Christ was so generous that he gave it all for us. So that we may live in eternity with him. God, be with us now as we study your word. Be with Dennis as he delivers the message, Father. Prepare our hearts to receive it. In Jesus Christ's precious name we pray. Amen.
I'll ask everyone who can to please stand. Would bow your head with me if we have a moment of silence, thanking God for those who have served, those who have sacrificed, that we might be free. Thank you. You may be seated. I want to ask everyone that has served or is serving in the United States military, at this time, they would please stand. On behalf of a thankful congregation, let me thank you for your service to our country and thank you for defending our freedom.
I won't worry, for it's clear. My answer is so clear. I went back to the place where grace abounds. He's been so faithful, oh so true, always there to see me through. I know heaven's already been notified. I have touched His throne before. My prayers have knocked on heaven's door. My faith has never been denied. So I lay down my head tonight. I know everything's gonna be alright, 'cause heaven's already been notified. You got burdens hard to bear, so I kept you at my place. I've been calling for your needs to be supplied and to be supplied. Oh, to fix what troubles you. That's just what God loves to do. That's why heaven's already been notified. I have touched His throne before. My prayers have knocked on heaven's door. My faith has never been denied. So I lay down my head tonight, and I know everything's gonna be alright, because heaven's already been notified. Yes, I have touched His throne before. My prayers had knocked on heaven's door. My faith has never been denied. So I lay down my head tonight, and I know everything's gonna be alright, because heaven's already been notified. Now you don't have to cry those tears, for I just whisper in His ear. God in heaven's already been. God in heaven's already been. God in heaven's already been notified. Yes, it has.
Amen. Thank you, Dale. You know, the choir was singing, I got joy in my hands, joy in my feet. I believe Dale's got joy all over. Amen. If you look inside your bulletin, you'll find an outline of today's message, and I'm going to ask all who can to stand in honor of the reading of the Word of God found in Galatians chapter 5. Beginning in verse 1, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Mark my words. I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourself be circumcised, Christ will be of no value to you at all. Again, I declare to every man who lets himself be circumcised that he is obligated to obey the whole law. You are trying to be justified by the law, have been alienated from Christ. You have fallen away from grace. But by faith we eagerly await the Spirit of righteousness for which we hope. For in Christ neither circumcision nor uncircumcision has any value. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. You were running a good race. Who cut in on you and kept you from obeying the truth? That kind of persuasion does not come from the one who calls you. A little yeast works the whole batch of dough. I am confident in the Lord that you will take no other view. The one who is throwing you into confusion will pay the penalty, whoever he may be. Brothers, if I'm still preaching circumcision, why am I still being persecuted? In that case, the offense of the cross has been abolished. As for those agitators, I wish they would go the whole way and emasculate themselves. You, my brothers, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the sinful nature. Rather, serve one another in love. The entire law is summed up in a single command. Love your neighbor as yourself. And then 5 verses later it says, the acts of the sinful nature are obvious. Sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery. Idolatry and witchcraft. Hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage. Selfish ambitions, dissensions, factions, and envy. Drunkenness and orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. Let us pray. Gracious God, help us today to know what it means to be free in Jesus Christ. Thank you, God, for our freedoms. Speak to us, God, today about the dangers of bondage and slavery. Lord, help us to understand that we are free indeed if Jesus makes us free. Thank you, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Today I want to speak to you about freedom isn't free. It costs somebody something. For example, in the Iraq-Afghanistan war that our country has been involved in the last 10 years, currently it has cost in dollars $1.7 trillion. And in the next couple of decades, as we project what it's going to take to care for the veterans, the 2.5 million veterans that have served in these 10 years, it is estimated to be $6 trillion. That's with a T. Now, $1 trillion is 1,000 billions. A billion is 1,000 millions. And so if I got it figured up right, this is enough to make 40 million people a millionaire, is what this one war has cost in the way of dollars. But you know, it's just not the money cost. It's the lives that are touched and the lives that are being affected because of war. My dad served in the Korean War. He and my mother got married when he was in the United States military. They were married for about 3 months. And then my dad was shipped overseas and was gone for 3 years. And then when he came back, he had troubles adjusting. My mom and dad, they tried to make their marriage work, but it ended up in a divorce. There's a lot of cost that is factored in to us being free besides the dollars and the cents. And today I want to talk to you about the cost of freedom. There are two things I want to share with you. The first one is the cost to secure freedom. That is to get freedom to begin with. In Galatians 5:1 it says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." If you understand United States history, about 400 years ago, there was a group of people that left England and went to Holland. They left Holland and come to America. We call them pilgrims. But they came here for one reason, and that is so that they could worship God without government interference. Folks, I hope you're paying attention, because what the pilgrims came for here originally, what every soldier has fought to defend, and that is our freedom to worship God with our conscience. All of those things are under attack today. You see, you have to secure freedom, but you also have to sustain it. Well, what's it cost to secure freedom? Number one, your freedom cost God His Son. The most familiar Bible passage in the New Testament is John 3:16. "For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, and whoever believes in Him should not perish but have eternal life." See, the Bible says the wages of sin is death. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. And so for you to be free from the penalty of sin, God had to send His Son. God had to sacrifice His Son, you see, in order that you and I could be set free. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but I have read where they have studied the human experience. And what do you think is the most emotional, traumatic experience that a human being can have? Well, according to psychologists, it is the death of a child. Recently, my wife had a surgery. Her surgeon, not long ago, had an adult child to be killed in an automobile accident. And when I was at the hospital, somebody said, Dr. So-and-so is just not the man he used to be. That is, something happened on the inside of him when a child died. I can't imagine what it would be like to bury a child. In our first service, we have a woman, Teresa Martin, and I recently conducted her brother's funeral, and for her mom, it was the 4th child she had buried out of 5 children. Can't imagine what that was like. But I want you to know this morning, for you to be free, God, it cost Him His Son. And then secondly, your freedom cost Jesus His life. In 1 Peter 1:18, it says, "For you know that God paid a ransom to save you from the empty life you inherited from your ancestors. And it was not paid with mere gold or silver, which lose their value. It was the precious blood of Christ, the sinless, spotless Lamb of God." You see, God required a blood sacrifice. The Bible says without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins. And so Jesus shed His blood. I want you to know the Romans didn't kill Jesus. I want you to know the Jews didn't kill Jesus. The Bible says that Jesus willingly laid down His life. He shed His blood because there was no other way. In the garden, He said, "Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me." There was no other way. For you to be free, free to enjoy God, free to love God, free to worship God, free to serve God, Jesus had to die for your sin. It cost Him His life. But you know what? We just don't have spiritual freedom. You and I are blessed to have freedom to worship and serve God, and however our conscience dictates, and that cost the hero his life. John 15:13, it says, "Greater love has no one than this, than that He laid down His life for His friends." Do you understand, for you and I to be free today, that 1.2 million U.S. soldiers, airmen and sailors, have died in combat. 1.2 million. And so tomorrow when you go out in your backyard, you fire up the barbecue grill, you need to understand that it costs 1.25 million people their lives that you and I could be free. But folks, I want you to know we live in a time, we live in an era, I believe, when there are people in our country that do not appreciate the freedom that we have and the cost that it has. Now, I'm not going to give a political speech today, but you understand that our freedoms involves government. Our freedoms involves the military. So you can't talk about this without talking about some of this stuff. Okay? The Bible, not the Bible, but the Declaration of Independence says that we're endowed by our Creator, that's God, with certain inalienable rights. You know what that means? Your rights do not come from the government. You see, if the government gave you that right, the government could take it away. But if God gave it to you, the government cannot take away what God gave you. You have certain rights. They're in our Constitution. They're the Bill of Rights. And we have those freedoms. But I'm afraid today that there's a segment of our population that doesn't understand and doesn't appreciate that. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Have any of you noticed protests that have been going on for the last 6 or 8 months in America? Have you ever heard of a guy by the name of Freddie Gray? I'm just giving you my personal commentary here. He's a 25-year-old thug who died in police custody. Guess what? The President of the United States sends representatives from the White House to Baltimore, Maryland for his funeral. A thug. A criminal. How about a guy by the name of Michael Brown? Another thug died. The President sends representatives from the White House. Let me ask you a question. The 4,500 soldiers that have died in Iraq and Afghanistan, I wonder how many people from the White House have attended one of their funerals. Out of the 4,500 people that have died, listen, we're still in Afghanistan. How many of those fallen heroes' names are household terms? You see, in America, we're celebrating the wrong people. And by the way, if you didn't see this yesterday, Alan West, I like Alan West, he is a patriot, okay? But Alan West reported this yesterday. You know, the protesters in Ferguson, Missouri, they're mad. Let me tell you why they're mad. Some of them had been paid. According to Alan West, George Soros, a billionaire liberal, has funded certain social justice nonprofits, and they were paid protesters $5,000 a month to show up and to cause trouble. According to Alan West, George Soros spent $33 million paying protesters. And yet, in the United States, we have a thing called the Wounded Warriors, where they have to beg donations to buy motorized wheelchairs for veterans who've had their legs blown off. Folks, there's something wrong with this picture in America. But listen, it cost Jesus his life, it cost God his son, it cost the hero his life, but I want you to know your freedom also cost the family of the fallen. See, tomorrow you're going to go in the backyard, you're going to grill hamburgers or hot dogs, or maybe you upgrade. You have chicken or a steak. But I want you to know there are going to be families tomorrow that will not have a father there, that will not have a brother there, that will not have a son there, that will not have a nephew there, because they gave their lives serving their country that you and I could be free. Freedom isn't free. It costs somebody something. And then I just want to share some of these things. I didn't know these. Maybe you may tore me up. I hope it bothers you. Your freedom cost the veteran his injuries. You see, in Afghanistan and Iraq, there were 4,500 soldiers that lost their lives. But there were a whole bunch that didn't die, but were injured. I tried to find out how many had been injured. You know what? I couldn't find an exact total. You know why? On November the 4th, 2013, the Veterans Administration quit releasing statistics. So all I have is a year-and-a-half old statistics, okay? But the latest statistics of the Veterans Administration is that there were 900,000 soldiers, sailors, and airmen injured in Iraq and Afghanistan. 900,000. Now, some of these folks, they don't look like there's anything wrong with them. But you understand, when you're riding down the road in a Humvee and an IED goes off and it blows up and it flips the thing over and you're bounced all around and you have forced head trauma and you have brain injuries and you can't carry on a complete sentence or a conversation or you can't walk because of a brain injury. You're not missing a leg or an arm. You don't have shrapnel in your chest, but you know what? You're still injured. By the way, if you come in here and you see a seat on the back row that says reserved, don't sit in it. You know why those seats are reserved? We actually have men in this congregation who went to Iraq, who went to Afghanistan, that have come back with post-traumatic stress disorder, and they have to sit on the back row because if anybody is behind them, they get so freaked out they cannot worship. We actually have one guy in our church. He received a Purple Heart while he was over in Iraq a couple of weeks ago. He came in to worship. Somebody was sitting on the back row where he sits. There was no seat. His family came in and sat down in the regular seat. He went outside and sit in his car because he cannot have anybody behind him. It freaks him out. They're still listening for footsteps behind them. Get this. Did you know a lot of the guys who are coming back from these wars, they cannot make peace with what they saw and what they did. Every day, a veteran commits suicide in the United States. Every day. You know how many? 22 a day. That's from the Veterans Administration. That's 8,030 soldiers take their own lives every year in the United States. Now get this, 5,400 of them are over 50 years of age. Some of these guys are still dealing with what happened in Vietnam. Folks, you understand that when you and I come and we worship in freedom, we do so because it costs somebody something. It costs God something. It costs Jesus something. It costs our heroes something. It costs our veterans something. Here's the worst tragedy to me. You know what the unemployment rate is in North Carolina? About 7.8%. You know what the unemployment rate is of veterans who had served in Iraq and Afghanistan? Is 28%. Their unemployment rate is 4 times that of the average American. Folks, I don't know about you, but listen, if you are a director, if you're a manager, if you own a business, the first person you ought to hire ought to be a veteran. You see, they pay a tremendous price for our freedom. Well, that's what it costs to secure our freedom. But you know what? Once you're free, don't mean you're going to remain free. And so the second thing I want to talk to you about today is there's a cost to sustain freedom. In Galatians 5:1, it says, "It's for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." You understand Paul's writing to Christians in Galatia? These are people who are saved. And he said, stand firm in your freedom. Don't become a slave all over again. Did you know as a Christian you can become a slave? You can be in bondage to people and things even though Jesus set you free. You see, you've got to maintain and sustain that freedom. I don't know if you saw on the news last week, but ISIS, you know, the radical jihadist group, they overtook Ramadi last week. Now what's important about that is during the surge, America took over Ramadi, set it free, okay? And so there's a lot of veterans right now that are upset because the policy of our government to withdraw before the people could keep their freedom means now all of those sacrifices to free Ramadi were for nothing. Those soldiers died. And now those people are worse off than they ever were. You see, Jesus can set you free, but you got to stay free. Listen, America was started as a free nation, but you understand there are forces in America that want to take away your freedoms. Listen, folks, there's a war going on right now for the soul of America. And if you don't see that, you're not paying attention. Let me just give you an example. What is the first thing in the Bill of Rights? What is it that we have? We have the right to do what? We have the right to speak. I have the right to preach. I have the right to speak my conscience. I have the right to assemble and to worship God. There is the freedom of religion in America. But you know it's under attack. Did you know if you're a Christian and you have a bakery and a gay couple wants to get married and they want you to cater it for them and you say, well, you know what, I'll make you a cake, I'll make you all the stuff, but I'm not going to come and serve it because it violates my faith. Did you know that bakers are being sued? They're being fined? Did you know there's a baker out in Colorado, he's actually having to go take classes for sensitivity training? And so you know what? Some folks will say, hey, listen, y'all not discriminate against people, but y'all not have to violate your faith, okay? Listen, I might make a pizza for you, but I shouldn't have to come to a drunken orgy and serve it to you, okay? And so what happened was in Indiana passed, the legislature passed a religious liberty law saying if you are a Christian and people ask you to do something that is a violation of your faith, you don't have to do it. They can't sue you, they can't lock you up, they can't fine you. That sounds like a good deal to me, don't you? Well, guess what happened? Before the governor could sign it, all of the liberal media jumped on it. I want you to know corporate America is the new bully in America. Here's what happened. The NFL came to the governor of Indiana and said, if you pass this law, there'll not be another Super Bowl in Indianapolis. The NCAA came and said, Governor, if you pass this law, there'll be no more Final Fours in Indiana. Apple Computer's CEO said, we are opposed to this law. So you know what the governor of Indiana did? He became a jellyfish, and he said to the legislature, you're going to have to go back and rewrite this law because we're going to lose too much money. The same thing happened in Arkansas. But can I tell you, we got one fellow that's got some backbone, and that's the governor of Louisiana, and they have a religious liberty law. And IBM, who's put up a big place down there and hired 7,000 employees, they said, we are against this law. And you know what the governor said? The governor said, I don't care if you're against it or not, you're not bullying Louisiana. Folks, I want you to know there is a war going on for the soul of America. You just don't have to secure freedom, you have to sustain it. Well, I want to spend the rest of my time talking to you about maintaining and sustaining our Christian freedom. So you get saved, Jesus set you free from the penalty of sin, but you can still be a slave to sin. Let me just share a couple of tracts. This is not all of them, but it's some biggies. Number one, you can be enslaved by legalism. Galatians 5:7, you were running a good race. Who cut in on you and kept you from obeying the truth? These were Judaizers. They came along and said, oh, before you become a Christian, you got to be a Jew. You got to observe the dietary laws. You got to be circumcised. You got to do all this. Listen, friend, the only thing you have to do to become a Christian is confess your faith in Jesus Christ and repent of your sin. That's all you have to do. Listen, God catches his fish before he cleans his fish. But there are people out there, and they have their list, you know, and their list says you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't wear your hair this way, and they have all of these do's and indulge, and you got to do all of those things to be right with God. No, you don't. Let me tell you what you have to be right with God. Just put your faith and hope and trust in Him. Just put your faith and hope and trust in Him. I had a neighbor, and he's an ex-POW. He's an ex-Marine. He's a super guy, but he was lost. He had a drinking problem, and I go witness to him. One day I was listening, witness to him, and his name's Larry, and shared the gospel with him. And he said, "Preacher," he said, "I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to be a Christian." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "I had to give up drinking." I said, "Larry, who told you that?" I said, "You know what you have to become a Christian? You have to confess your sins. You have to trust Jesus. You have to turn and follow Him." He said, you mean I can be a Christian and still drink my beer?" I said, "No, I didn't say that. I said, what you do is you give your heart and life to Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit will tell you what to do and not to do. You don't take a man's list and go by a man's list. You are led by the Spirit of God." So guess what? He gave his heart and life to Jesus Christ, and I was baptized. 6 months later, he's coming out of the church, he's shaking my hand. He said, "Preacher," he said, "you know that day you come by my house?" I said, "Yes, sir, I do." And he said, "Well, at that time I had a 6-pack in my refrigerator. I want you to know it sat there for 6 months, and yesterday I decided to throw it away." You see, folks, coming to know Jesus Christ is what makes you a Christian. And once Jesus lives in your heart, the Holy Spirit will show you what to do. But there are legalists out there that says you got to part your hair a certain way, you got to wear a certain kind of clothes, you got to do this and do that in order to be right with God. Listen, if you could be right with God by what you did, Jesus died for nothing. You see, He came and died because it was the only way. And so that's legalism. But there's another thing that will enslave people, and it's materialism. Matthew 6:24, "No one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." Listen, folks, God's plan is that you love people and use stuff. We live in a country today where people love stuff and use people. It's called materialism. And we're so caught up with keeping up with the Joneses. You know, I got to have shinier than you. Mine's got to be bigger than yours. Mine's got to be louder than yours. Whatever it is, you know, I got to have this one-upmanship. It's all about the stuff. Heard about this guy from Colorado, and he was a materialist, you know. And so what happened was he was riding down the road in his convertible BMW, and he flipped it. And that thing rolled and rolled down the hill, caught on fire. He's standing there on the side of the road, blood just pouring out of him. He's cut and torn apart. And he's there and he said, "Oh, my BMW! My BMW!" Somebody stopped and said, "Fella, man, you're bleeding. You need to get to the hospital." He said, "Oh, my BMW!" He said, "I wouldn't worry about that BMW. Look, your hand's been cut off. You look." He said, "Oh, my Rolex! My Rolex!" Now, you probably don't have a Rolex. But you know what? You don't have to have a BMW or a Rolls Royce or Rolex to be materialistic. Sometimes people even brag about their addiction. They'll say, "Well, I'm a shopaholic." Listen, if you're any kind of holic, it means you're in bondage to whatever you just said. It doesn't make any difference if you're a workaholic or a shopaholic or a chocoholic. You're still in bondage to whatever you're a holic to. And then number 3, you can be enslaved by drugs and alcohol. The Bible says wine is a mocker and beer is a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise. Folks, it's not so much that America has a crime problem, we have a drug problem. 23.5 million Americans abuse illegal drugs. By illegal, I mean it's against the law to own, it's against the law to have these. 23.5 million. Now, there are some of you here, and you have never smoked a joint. You have never snorted crack cocaine. But you see, there's another problem in America, and that is an addiction to prescription drugs. 15 million Americans are addicted to narcotic pain medicine. Now, folks, I'm not here to try to beat up on somebody that's in chronic pain. My wife's at home today in chronic pain. She's had 4 back operations. She has degenerative disc disease. She's had 31 kidney stones. She has rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, bursitis. And then she's married to me, the woman. Knows pain. Okay? But here's what I can tell you about Teresa. She hates taking pills worse than anybody I know. Now, I remember when she was younger and she'd be sitting there and she'd say, I got this terrible headache. I said, we got some ibuprofen, we got some aspirin, we got some Aleve, have you had anything? No, but if I could just lay down and go to sleep. I said, we got medicine, that's what it's for. She just despised swallowing a pill. I'm not talking about people in chronic pain. I'm talking about people who take prescription medicine to get high. 15 million. Listen, some of those people come to church. I've seen them. You've seen them. They come to church, and I thought, like, hey, man, how are you? I mean, they just doped out their mind. But it's okay. The doctor wrote it. The doctor needs to be locked up. Okay? But you know what? We've got a drug problem in America. Listen, it breaks my heart today that 4,500 Americans have died in Iraq and Afghanistan. But you know, in America, every year, 22,500 people die of a drug overdose. Think about that. That is 4 times as many people have died of drug overdose than 10 years on the battlefield. Folks, we got a problem in here. But by the way, did you know, what I'm talking about is not the #1 drug of choice. You know what the #1 drug of choice in America is? Alcohol. 17.6 million alcoholics in America. That's people that are addicted to alcohol. They like to quit and they can't quit. They're addicted to it. Now get this, this is what troubled me in research that I did. 56.5% of all Americans say they have drank alcohol in the last 30 days. That's over half of them. Folks, listen, I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 30 years, let alone 30 days. Somebody is doing a lot of consumption. But here's the point. The point is whether it's illegal drugs, prescription drugs, whether it's alcohol, these people have been enslaved and controlled by a substance instead of being controlled by the Spirit of God. Listen, if you're a Christian, you're supposed to be controlled by the Spirit of God, led by the Spirit of God, live your life to honor and glorify Jesus Christ. And then the next item, I think it's even more people. And that is, do you know you can be enslaved by food? In Philippians 3:19, it says, their destiny is destruction, their God is their stomach, and their glory is in their shame. Their mind is on earthly things. The truth of the matter is we have folks right here this morning, and alcohol has never touched your lips. You have never, ever used an illegal drug, but if the truth be known, your drug of choice is food. You see, some people, when they get all sad, they go get drunk, but you go get a half a gallon of ice cream. Now think about it. What I'm talking about here is people are in bondage to comfort food. That is, when I'm sad, I eat. When I'm mad, I eat. And guess what? When I get happy, I really eat. Think about it. Reminded me of going to the Church of God bookstore one time, and the manager stopped and said, I got 2 puppies left, a Church of God puppy, and I have a Baptist puppy. Which one would you like? I said, I don't need any dogs. I said, but let me bite. What's the difference between a Church of God puppy and a Baptist? He said, oh, that's easy. He said, the Church of God puppy's fatter than the Baptist puppy. And I said, how does that work? And he said, well, Church of God people are just fatter than Baptists. I said, how do you get that? He said, well, in the Church of God, he says, we can't smoke, we can't dip, we can't chew, and we can't date girls that do, but we can eat. You know what he was doing? He was bragging really on what he was in bondage to. Let me tell you how big of a problem it is in America. According to the Center for Disease Control, 69% of all Americans are overweight. But get this, 35.1% is obese. Obese means you're more than 30% overweight. Obese means that you are so overweight that it's actually unhealthy. It's unhealthy for your heart. It's unhealthy for your lungs. You're in danger of type 2 diabetes, all kinds of things. You're going to die a premature death if you don't get a hold of it, is what it means when you're obese. According to the American Heart Association, the raw numbers look like this. 154.7 million Americans are overweight. 78.4% are obese. 78.4 million are obese. You understand that if you are addicted to food, you cannot push the plate away. You do not have self-control over that. Did you know that you are committing suicide by fork? That is, you're killing yourself a bite at a time. And listen, the Bible says that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Do you understand what it means to be a spirit-filled Christian? It means nothing controls you except the Spirit of God. But if you're controlled by drugs or alcohol, by legalism, materialism, by food, well, there's a fifth one, and that is you can be enslaved by fear. 1 John 4:18, he says, there's no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. Because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. Some of you here today, your whole life is regulated by fear. You're afraid of this, you're afraid of that, you're afraid of this, and you're afraid of commitment, you're afraid somebody's going to walk out on you, you're afraid of the dark, you're afraid of whatever. They did a survey of 500 people and they came up with 7,000 fears. That's 14 per person. Ann Landers gets 10,000 letters a month. When she was asked, what is the number one topic that you're asked about? She said, without a doubt, it's fear. Let me ask you this one, what are you afraid of? Now, I tell you, as a child of God, you're only supposed to be afraid of one thing, and that's God. The Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Let me tell you how fear has changed in America with children. 30 years ago, these were the top 5 fears of children. Animals, dark rooms, strangers, high places, loud noises. You know what? The top 5 fears of children, elementary school age today. The number 1 fear is my parents will divorce. Number 2, nuclear war. Number 3, getting cancer. Number 4, pollution. I'm out. Now think about that. When you were 8 years old, did you even know what pollution was? You know where they're learning all this, don't you? Okay. And then number 5, get this. The 5th fear is being beat up or molested. These are top 5 fears. And so what I'm trying to say is, if that's the problem right now for the children, if Jesus tarries, do you imagine what it's going to be like for these kids when they're adults? But listen, God doesn't want you to be enslaved by fear. God don't want you to be afraid of anything because you have faith and hope and trust in Him. If God be for you, who can be against you? And then, another thing that enslaves people is unforgiveness. In Acts chapter 8, verse 23, Philip says, "For I see that you are full of bitterness and captive to sin." There are folks right here in this room, and you know what? You've been hurt in the past. And because you've been hurt in the past, you've got a wall built around you. And if you're not careful, that resentment will turn into bitterness, and that bitterness will poison every relationship you have. And you will be in bondage to this unforgiving spirit the rest of your life. So let me tell you what you do. You just let go of it. Just let go of it. Say, all right, God, I turn it over to you. I turn this person over to you. You see, some of you here today, the truth of the matter is the person who hurt you may have been a person in a previous church. I don't know how many people say, you know what, I'm going to come to church and I'm going to come and I'm going to sit, but I'm not going to get involved because the last place I was really serving and I was really making a difference and somebody hurt my feelings. And you allow an unforgiving spirit to keep you in bondage. Remember what we say freedom is? Freedom is to enjoy God. Freedom is to love God. Freedom is to serve God. And if you can't enjoy and serve and worship God, friend, you are not free. And here's a biggie. I'd say dead for last. You can be enslaved by lust. 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 4 through 5. And then each of you will control his own body and live in holiness and honor, not in lustful passion like the pagans who do not know God and His way. Listen, folks, it used to be in America, if you wanted to read a dirty magazine, you had to go to a back alley, sleazy place. You don't have to do that anymore. Listen, you can pipe it right into your television through cable or satellite. Listen, you can get it on your smartphone. You can get it on your computer. Let me tell you, pornography is a serious, addictive problem in America. Let me tell you why? Because it's so accessible. And it's all because of technology. Did you know the average child today is exposed to pornography when they're 7 years old? There are people right now, 12 years old, addicted to pornography. According to Dr. James Dobson, pornography is 100 times more addictive than crack cocaine. Say, why is that? Listen, it's not natural to desire crack cocaine. But God made us male and female. It's natural to be attracted to the opposite sex. So the devil takes what is natural and what God made it good and twists it and perverts it and makes it into something God never intended. By the way, let me tell you how big business it is. In America, more money is spent on pornography than the NFL, the NBA, the Major League Baseball, and the National Hockey League combined. Think about that. 4 major sports, all the franchise, all the owners, all the players, all the money. More money is spent on pornography in America than all 4 major sports. I think we have a problem. You say, oh yeah, the world's a horrible place, preacher, but you know, you're in church today. Listen, this same study that Dr. James Dobson did found in the Church of the Nazarene that 44% of the men who attended church on a regular basis were addicted to pornography. You say, well, what's the big deal? You know, you're just looking at pictures. Well, here's the big deal. It destroys homes. It destroys marriages. It destroys families. It destroys relationships. And you see, pornography is just like drugs. You start off with something small, and it takes more and more and more to stimulate you. Did you know Ted Bundy, the serial killer, he started out with Playboy magazine, and then he went to the hardcore stuff. And then after that, he went into bestiality and bondage. And this, you say, oh, preacher, but he was a wacko, a sicko. Folks, they just had a movie that came out called 50 Shades of Grey. Had 3 books. You know what it's all about? It's about sexual bondage. Listen, what used to be in the back alley is now on the cinema, big screen. It's gone mainstream. You see, what happened to Ted Bundy was he was watching this sadistic bondage stuff, and it got to the point where watching it no longer stimulated, and he had to start acting it out. So he started kidnapping and raping and killing. Now, you may not ever get to that place, but if you have a problem with it right now, and you don't trust God, you don't get help, you could end up in the same place Ted Bundy. See, God doesn't want you to be enslaved by anything. How is it that I can be free? Well, there's 2 things I want to mention and I'll be done. Number 1, put your faith in Jesus Christ. In Luke 9:23, then he said to the crowd, if any of you wants to be a follower, you must turn from your selfish ways. Take up your cross and follow me. See, for you to be free, Jesus had to die. For you to be free, American soldiers have had to die. But for you to be really free, you got to die too. You got to die to self. You got to die to sin. Jesus said, take up your cross. What is a cross? It's an instrument of death. You got to die to yourself. And then God will set you free. I read this story a long time ago that there was a Christian, and he would work and save his money, and then he would go to a slave auction where they would put a slave up on a block and bid him off to the highest bidder. And this Christian fella would buy the slave and then turn around and set him free. Then he'd go out and he'd work, save some money, and then he'd go set another one free. Well, on one occasion, this guy that had been born into slavery, been a slave all of his life, this guy bought him out of slavery and set him free. He says to his former owner, he says, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? I've always been a slave. And his owner says, well, you're a free man now. You can go wherever you want to go. You can do whatever you want to do. He said, really? He said, yeah. He said, well, I want to go with that fella. You know who he pointed to? He pointed to the guy that had just bought his freedom. He said, you know what, if I go anywhere, I want to go with this guy. If I can do anything, I want to do it with this guy. Friends, can I tell you, when I was 16 years old, Jesus Christ came into my heart. He set me free from the penalty of sin. And He said, you can go anywhere. You can do anything. And I said, God, I want to go with Jesus. I want to go with the one that has set me free. See, the key is having faith in Jesus Christ. But if you don't keep your freedom, you got to maintain fellowship in the body of Christ. In verse 6, he said, the only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. Verse 13 says, you, my brothers, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge your sinful nature. Rather, serve one another in love. Jesus will make you free. He will set you free. But you need other believers in order to maintain your freedom. In 2002, we started the process of having this land surveyed, having a site plan drawn, and having these buildings built. And I went to Tanner and McConaughey as surveyors. I knew Frank Tanner. And I said, Frank, here's what I need. And he said, all right, but he said, it's going to take me a while. I'm behind. And I said, okay. I said, business that good? He said, no. He said, well, what happened is my key guy just quit. I said, well, I hope there's not a problem. He said, no. Remember, this is early 2002. What had happened on September 11, 2001? It was a terrorist attack. What happened was his key guy, a 29-year-old man, the father of three, came in and said to Frank, he said, Frank, he said, I've quit. He said, I've joined the United States Army. I said, Frank, do what? I mean, he's got 3 kids. He's going to quit a job and he's going to join the Army. I said, why would he do that? He said, well, he said he's doing it because he doesn't want his children to grow up in this kind of world. He wants to serve to make this place a better place for his children. Folks, I want you to know today we're in a cultural war. We're in a war for the soul of America, and God is raising up an army. And I'm asking you today to roll up your sleeves and say, listen, I got your back, you have my back. Let's be in this together for freedom. Because if we don't, we'll be just like those people in Ramadi. Free one day, enslaved the next day. Our religious freedoms are under attack. God's people need to stick together. We need to be a band of brothers, a band of sisters. I need to have your back. You need to have my back. We need to have each other's back. You see, the only way to maintain and sustain that freedom is fellowship with others. I'm going to ask you to bow your head and close your eyes. Nobody's looking around. I'm wondering who would come today and say, you know what, I want to be free. I want to be free from the penalty of sin. I want to be one of God's children. And you come and commit your heart and life to Jesus Christ. I'm wondering who's here today and you say, you know what, I'm like those people in Galatia. Jesus has set me free, but I've allowed a habit, I've allowed something to creep into my life that steal my joy. And I want Jesus to set me free from my habits, from my choices, from whatever it is keeping you from enjoying and loving and serving God. Heavenly Father, Lord, I just want to say thank you for our freedom. God, may we never take it for granted. God, may we today trust you by faith. May we join hands together. God, may we make a difference, not only now, but in the future. Make our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. If you would please stand as we sing. We invite you to come.